गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः नीलारविन्दसुहृदासदृशं प्रसादे तुल्यं तथा महसि तोयजबान्धवेन ब्राह्म्यां स्थितौ तु पितरं वटमूलवासं संस्मारयन्तम् अचलन्तमनुस्मरामः. We are in 9th verse, 8th verse, but continuing into 9th. And we are looking at Bhakto tu paripurnayam alam shravanamekada jnanaya paripurnaya tada bhakti prakalpate. Paripurna bhakti is equal to paripurna gyan. Maturity of bhakti. Maturity of bhakti will be what? Maturity of devotion will be what? That the devotee merges into the devoted. That is the paripurna, that is the paripurnata, that is the epitome climax of bhakti. And that is equal to knowledge, and vice versa. Inquiring into the I and coming to the I is equal to devotion, is equal to the matured bhakti, the supreme love. So, jnanaya paripurnaya tada bhakti parikalpate. And in this way, again, two more things that were told was that if a person is very uttam adhikari, if he is very qualified, he has made his mind calm, cool, collected, undisturbed, hearing once the scriptures or some guidance from a master, immediately the abidance happens, the knowledge takes place. Some others like us, who are we? Do I have to explain? Who do not understand in one go. So we have to repeat it again and again and again and again till we understand. And this is the other type, that till we repeatedly expose ourselves to the satsang, expose ourselves to the devoted, expose ourselves repeatedly to the self within. Repetition is required when it has not happened in the first go. So keep repeating it till it happens, till the abidance happens, till the knowledge takes place, and it is okay. Don't imagine that you are the Uttam Adhikari. Never imagine you are the best. Always think. So wise man he is he who is very humble. I am nobody, Baba. Don't become anyone. Don't grow horns कि हमने तो इतना पढ़ लिया, हमने इतना कर लिया, हमने इतना साधना कर ली. Nothing like that. Continuing, yeah. So that was the till we reach the goal. Keep repeating. Now the ninth verse. धारा व्यपेताया भक्तिः धारा व्यपेताया भक्तिः सा विच्छिन्नेति कीर्त्यते सा विच्छिन्नेति कीर्त्यते भक्ते परस्यास्या हेतुः भक्ते परस्यासा हेतुः भवतीति विनिर्णयः भवतीति विनिर्णयः धारा व्यपेताया भक्तिः सा विच्छिन्नेति कीर्त्यते भक्ते परस्याया सा हेतुः भवतीति विनिर्णयः. Bhakti not continuous like a stream is called intermittent bhakti. Devotion which is not taila dharavat. So see from the previous verse where it was told that first in the 8th verse the example was taken of the person who is well matured and one spark and he is there. But what about the other who is not matured, who is not purified, who is still having disruptions in between his concentration? It's okay. So now for that 9th verse, bhakti, devotion, not continuous like a stream, is called intermittent bhakti. And what is intermittent focus? What is intermittent concentration, single pointedness? The technical word for it in the Yoga Sutra is dharana. Dharana is intermittent focus. So if I am chanting the mantra Om, 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 Om. How many times I did it? Arey, why am I asking the question? Om, Om, Om. So what happened here? The entire period was with a break, wasn't it? So it was intermittent. But the first 5 times when I chanted, was there any disruption? Was there any disturbance? Was there any distraction? Was there any break? No. It was continuous. Yes, there was a gap between 2 ohms, but ohms were continuous, one after the other. See? So you can be chanting for half an hour and you may be focused for 5 minutes in that. Then you are in there doing dhyan. What did you do for the rest of the period? Intermittent focus. 2 minutes you are getting disturbed, but in between you got a complete focus undisturbed for 5-10 minutes. That is the next stage from dharana is dhyan. Intermittent focus is dharana, continuous focus is dhyan. The union between the seeker and the sought is nididhyasan. Correct. So here Ramana Maharshi says that when our goal is the attainment of the Supreme, our goal is the attainment of the true form, our attainment is of the of the divine, then even intermittent bhakti is okay. Because the natural progression, if you continue at it, if you continue with intermittent bhakti, what will happen? It will become continuous bhakti. That is its natural progression. If you don't go to sleep, remain awake, naturally, after some time, you will feel sleepy and you will go to sleep. Natural progression. You will wake up, natural. Same way, here Bhagwan says that the attainment, when we are practicing devotion, and even if that devotion is intermittent in its nature, it is better than no devotion at all. It is better than absence of devotion. It is better than absence of bhakti. Intermittent bhakti is better than no bhakti. Yes, better than intermittent bhakti, naturally continuous focus. Better than that, absorption. So one must not discourage, one must not break the faith of anyone. And remember, he has already said that devotion means, on one hand it was that the love with which we are applying ourselves, the bhavana, the feeling, the love that we have invoked towards the destination. So if that destination is the self, I recognize that you want to know yourself as you essentially are. If it is the Lord, if it is your deity, then our love for that deity. What if someone doesn't have that love for deity? There it was told, even then if he keeps chanting the name, eventually the love will come for the hard nuts that is given. So Bhagwan is not leaving any door to escape. He is taking care of that everything is okay. Start, Baba. What if my focus is not continuous? Doesn't matter. It is better. If it is intermittent, it's okay. Don't condemn that person. If he's going to temple once a week, don't condemn him. At least he's going once. It's better than not going at all. At least they're lighting the lamp in the morning. It's not better than not lighting at all. At least they're chanting once. It's better than not chanting at all. So this way, when we look at it from intermittent to continuous to absorption, then it becomes a scheme, it becomes a pathway, it becomes a ladder, it becomes from gross to subtle to transcendental. As our focus becomes more intense, more continuous, directly proportional to that is our subtlety. Directly proportional to that is our disentanglement from gross first, then subtle, then even causal. So Vaikhari, when Vaikhari is the loud chanting, when it becomes matured, you have nothing in this world disturbs you nothing in the waking world disturbs you anymore. When the Madhyama has matured, when the mental chanting has matured, then nothing in the dream disturbs you anymore. You have transcended the dream. And when the subtle, what you call Madhyama matures, and you are able to continue in that maturity, with the correct goal, not of sleep, but of remaining awake and wanting to merge in the goal divine, which is the self or the deity, then somewhere along the way, after few pitfalls of falling into sleep, eventually you will become wakeful. One day it will happen, one moment it will happen. Then you have bypassed the Pashyanti also. So, what is this scheme? It is a sequence for our benefit. Is there a sequence of water in water? No, water is everywhere. Is there a sequence within the self? No, self is everything. Then for whom is this sequence? For this stupid idiot who's speaking. For this stupid mind who creates a sequence where there is no sequence. Who creates in and out where there is no in and out. Who creates a seeker and sought where there is only one. It is for him, this sequence, this step by step. So, how much more compassionately Bhagwan can tell us? He is addressing all types of mindsets. Continuing in the 10th verse, where are we? And following in that journey, in the previous verse, in the 9th verse, it will lead to that only. Dharana, intermittent, will lead to dhyan, continuous. It will lead to absorption. It will. And absorption, at the very moment of absorption, the knowledge takes place. Is the climax of the devotion, is knowledge. And in the 2nd and 3rd chapter of this book, we saw climax of knowledge, of self-realization, abidance in the self, is supreme, unbound, unconditioned love. Kamaya bhaktim kurvanaha, kamaya bhaktim kurvanaha, kamam prapyapya nirvrutaha, kamam prapyapya nirvrutaha, shashvataya sukhayante, shashvataya sukhayante, bhajate punarishwaram, bhajate punarishwaram. Kamaya bhaktim kurvanaha, kamam prapyapya nirvrutaha, shashvataya sukhayante, bhajate punarishwaram. He says, one who practices bhakti for a desired end, kamaya bhaktim kurvanaha, kurvanaha, who does something for satisfying his desires, kamam. What does he do? He does bhakti for satisfying his desires. Finds no fulfillment on attaining it, and then again worships God for the sake of eternal happiness. See, anyone who is very rich, what does Bhagwan do? The Lord do? He gives him more money. Why he gives him more money? So that he wants to do good to the world with that money. I'm talking about a sadhak, but who is addicted to loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, and I have to do dhanam, punyam, this, collect merit, and he keeps doing and doing and doing. And he has the ability to produce also. Bhagavan is blessing him with more and more and more. And if he is genuinely doing it, without wanting name, fame, praise, accolades, awards, then one day it will dawn on that person. One day it will dawn. What? That so much energy I have expended in helping the world, but the world is still the same. कुत्ते की पूंछ टेढ़ी है वो टेढ़ी है, अगर सीधी हुई नहीं. Because the world still condemns him, the world still talks about ill about him, the world still want, because they know you are giving, so they want more and more and more and more. It's an endless pit. What this world? Same way, when a devotee, this is what happened to Namdev Maharaj. When a devotee starts using the Lord, is devoted to the Lord, is contemplating on the Lord, focused on the Lord to satisfy his desires or others' desires. Okay, great saint. He doesn't want to satisfy his desires. I satisfy the desires of other people. I don't want anything from anyone. But you satisfy one, 100 more are waiting. You satisfy hundreds, 1,000 more are waiting. Where does it end? And when the penny drops for such a person, that's what is told here. One who practices bhakti for a desired end finds no fulfillment. Then what do you find in giving and helping the world? Because why you want to help the world? Because it gives you satisfaction. But did you get the satisfaction? The world is still condemning you. You are not giving. There are still more poor people. There are still more needy. How come you are making selecting these people and you are not selecting that? We want reservation. You have to give only to the reserved people first. हो गया कांड तुम्हारा. World will never be satisfied. And you are looking for satisfaction. You are looking for peace. You are looking for tranquility. You are looking for contentment. As much as that act was magnanimous, but eventually it will lead to frustration. If your attention is not on name, fame, accolades, etc., if your attention is on contentment, if your attention is on the peace of mind, very quickly you will realize, like I have realized, that by speaking nobody gets improved. Then why am I speaking? For myself. Time pass ho raha hai. But if I start expecting that I am doing it for the people, oh my God, how many people are benefiting this, that, I am digging my own grave. No expectation. सुनना है सुनो, नहीं जाना, who cares? See? Then such a person who is discontent within his heart from being able to satisfy the needs of more and more people by invoking the Lord, and he is not getting the fulfillment, then such a person will automatically be available. Is there another way? Am I going in the wrong direction? Is there something that I am not doing? Is my focus in the wrong area? Is this the means of getting fulfillment? They say dana tapa, but scriptures say many other things. Let me check. What else is there? Huh? And the moment this thought also comes, is there anything else? Because I am not content still after so many years of yeoman service to the world. Now he remembers the Lord not for satisfying the desires of others in the world, but now he worships the Lord, worships the God for his sake alone, for merging into him, for wanting union with him. And what will happen by merging into Him? I will be eternally content. I will be eternally happy. If I give someone something, if I pray to the Lord, I get siddhis, I help someone, that person is happy, and someone else is not getting what they want, they are unhappy. Arey, why I was not able to help? Still emptiness is there. Emptiness will continue till final absorption. Final absorption, self-abidance, God realization is ultimate fulfillment. These are all different words for the same thing. So it's okay. So here he says, Kamaya bhaktim kurvanaha kamam prapyapya nirvritaha. He withdraws from satisfying the desires. Initially he used the Lord to satisfy his desires or people's desires. See? But when it clicks, then he starts worshipping the Lord, starts taking the name of the Lord, starts invoking the Lord, not for that, but for infinite, permanent, uncorrupted fulfillment. Now he wants Lord for himself. He doesn't want to use the Lord for getting something else. And through that something else he will get in front. What a long way to go about to get fulfillment. Using the Lord to satisfy the desires of other people or yours and then get fulfillment. Now the in between is removed. Me and my Lord. I will merge into Him. I will remember Him as if there is no tomorrow. Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. Absorption. Taila Dharavat. And attain eternal, not attain, eternal fulfillment. Eternal fulfillment is that then there is no fall possible after that. Eternal fulfillment is acceptance that the world is already complete. What will be the vision of the ocean towards the waves? Each wave is crying, why me, why me, why I am so far away from ocean, why did you give upon me, why did you throw me alone in this waters, why you are pushing me towards the ocean, towards the shore, why the tide is coming and swallowing me up, help me, O Lord, help me. What is the attitude of the ocean? The cry of each wave is its own individual take on, because they have taken themselves to be water, taken themselves to be a wave, an individual form. And what is ocean's take on everything? That everything is me. So does the misery of the individual wave disturb the ocean? No. Does the joy of individual wave disturb the ocean? No. He is complete. That is how Ishvara is. In Ishvara Srishti, everything is Ishvara. In Jiva Srishti, all the issues are there. And once this Jiva recognizes that he is one with the Ishvara, nay, he is the Ishvara. Even further, Ishvara and I are one. Yahoo! Self-abidance. Then what is that vision? That is eternal fulfillment, where there is no otherness, where there is no differences, where there is no multiplicity, duality. There is no past, future. And this is how Mahatmas are living in this world of differences, but unaffected by the world of differences. Why? They are abiding in their essential nature. That's why they are called Jivan Muktas. How did they get there? Like this, through through bhakti, through some through Shravanam Mananam Nidhyasam, some of them through Who Am I inquiry. But whatever you do, all these paths are different names for the same thing. You start on any one, all the other things will, they are part and parcels. Journey is only one way. You call it by different names. And in this manner, if devotion is born for whatever reason, it may be for a very gross reason. Even if it is devotion because I want my son to pass year 12, I want my we become Godwards when our nears and dears die. Okay, that is also okay. The first time you chanted God's name was Trambakam Yajamaya because someone was dying. It's okay. Eventually, if you stay with it, eventually it will lead to the final absorption, because it will go through the stages. The more you associate with something, then the affinity towards it, the love towards it, from intermittent it will go to continuous, from continuous to absorption. 11th verse. Bhaktim kama sametapi, bhaktim kama sametapi, kamaptau na nivartate, kamaptau na nivartate, shraddha vruddha pare pumsi, shraddha vruddha pare pumsi, bhuya evabhivardhate, bhuya evabhivardhate. Bhakti, even when accompanied by desire, does not cease with the achievement of the desire. Faith in the Supreme Person develops and goes on increasing. This is the bhavna part we are talking about. Faith is belief, faith is Shraddha. The topic is bhakti. But for bhakti, what is required? Shraddha. So here he says, bhakti even when accompanied by desire. So we saw in the previous verse that it was for my desire or for fulfilling the desire of the others. And that desire is fulfilled, that someone wanted to be healed, so you invoke the Lord. Namdev used to do this. Sant Namdev used to do that. See that we did the Changdev Pasashti last year or the year before, I don't know. He was 1400 years old. He had all the siddhis. He had done Kaya Kalp 14 times. And he was 1400 years old. He was also born from some womb. But he had, over the years, centuries, he had perfected himself at the physical level, at the equipment level. He has perfected himself, but eternal fulfillment was still elusive for him. Even after having the mastery over his body and mind and senses, still eternal fulfillment was elusive. And only when he came in contact with Jnaneshwar Maharaj, Nivrittinath, Jnaneshwar Maharaj, Sopan Dev and Muktabai, it was from that 7-8-year-old girl that time. Jnaneshwar Maharaj said, she is your guru. She'll fix you. 1400-year-old man And how does she fix? One day she was taking shower and he was also there because he used to be after her all the time. Young girl, not in that sense, but she's his guru. 1400 year fellow guru is this 10, 12-year-old girl by that time. She was a teenager that time. Yes, maybe a bit more. 13, 14-year-old. And she was taking bath, and the moment he saw that she has come out of water and the whole body the cloth was sticking to her body and she was changing, he immediately turned his head away. Who? Changde Maharaj. And that girl had to open his eyes. After 1400 years, there is still a difference between man and woman. The vision has not transformed. See? And she tells him that way. And suddenly, because he was a very Uttam Sadhaka, the moment she says it, it clicks. The spark is lit. He rises above man and woman straight away. He rises above body identifications there and then. See? This is satsang. Thinking of God is satsang. And the more we have bhavana, we are using the name, we have the faith in the Lord that this Lord can satisfy my desire. Therefore we are remembering His name, no? Therefore we are doing the puja, no? Therefore we are taking His name. And the desire does get satisfied. But the faith continues. Then after some time another desire comes. Then the faith is there. It has become even stronger. The next desire gets satisfied again. Then again the faith continues. Your remembrance of the Lord continues. Then again the third desire comes. And eventually the penny will drop. What? That satisfying the desires has never given me fulfillment. Let me try. If the desire, instead of the world and the objects of the world, if I direct this desire towards the Lord, will it give me? We don't know. We have to experiment, explore. But when I was extroverted, my vision was outwards, and I was thinking, having the faith in that powerful Lord to satisfy, what will happen if I desire Him itself? Will all my desires get satisfied? Find out. Find out. It will eventually happen that way. In this lifetime or next lifetime. But we prefer if it happens in this lifetime itself. So he says, bhakti, even when accompanied by desire, does not cease with the establishment of the desire. Faith in the Supreme Person develops and goes on increasing. Faith goes on increasing. Once I told you the story of those two Brahmins living next to each other. One Brahmin goes to a Mahatma, साहब मेरे को बताओ मेरे को क्या करना है, भगवान का नाम लेना है, कैसे लेना है, ऐसे लेना है. He comes, sits under the banyan tree and start taking the name of the Lord. Very quickly, initially he is taking the name of the Lord. Oh, Bhagwan says, what do you want? I want money, I want food, I want a big house, I want clothes for my children, everything satisfied. Now what? Everything this fellow is getting. The next door Brahmin, he says, hey, what is your husband doing? He says, he went to the Mahatma. He also, but now why he is going? He is going there because he sees that his neighbor is doing something which is making him rich. He also goes, he also starts meditating on the Lord. He also gets the money, he also gets the food, clothes, house, everything. But it was not out of, our attention is not on the other one. But this fellow continues, everything he has got. Now what? Now he falls in love with the Lord. No more desires wanting to be fulfilled. And he's taking. Now this fellow is not wanting anything more. Then why is he meditating? Oh, because Lord, I'm not desiring anything from the world. Now I'm desiring the Lord himself. The competitor, the next door neighbor, he says, अच्छा उससे क्या होगा? I don't know, but I'm doing it. Before I knew what I wanted, therefore I was doing it. Now I don't know what will I get, but I'm doing it. The other fellow says, अच्छा चलो मैं भी थोड़ी देर try करता हूँ. He also does it. Then one day Narad Muni comes. Narad Muni says, oh Bhagwan, Hari Om, get up, open your eyes. Lord Narayana blesses you. So the original Brahmin, he says, Arey, if when next time you go to Vaikuntha, can you please ask Lord Narayana how much more time will be there till I merge into him? The other fellow, next door neighbor, he says, yeah, merge into him. Then what? He has already asked all those questions. What will happen? Oh, all desires will be fulfilled. Achha, oh, I also want to know the same answer. That when will I merge into the Lord? After again they continue meditating, the Lord, Narad Muniji goes to Vaikuntha, comes back after some years, and he comes. They are both sitting under the banyan tree. They, oh, Hari Om, everything. Yeah, so did you, expectantly the first Brahmin, he asks. He says the same answer is to both of you. Bhagwan gave the same answer to both of you. What is that? As many number of leaves are there on this banyan tree, that many lives you have to go through, then you will merge into the Lord and be one with the Lord. The unprepared one, who was a copycat, the second Brahmin, he says, ये जीवन भी मैंने वेच किया. My children are eating good food, my children are eating good clothes, my children are living in a good house, and I am only sitting here under the tree, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana. I am not enjoying everything that I got, and I have to live like this for so many lives. That उठ के चला जाता है. And the first Brahmin, he says, what? There are limited number of leaves on this tree. So Bhagwan has actually told that after so many births I will get liberated, I will merge into him. And he goes into ecstasy, thinking about the blessings and the grace of the Lord. And the Lord comes there and then, and he doesn't have to go through all those lives, and merges there and then. How the journey began? What they wanted? Money, fulfilling desires. Same point is being made here. And if we are remembering the Lord for satisfying our desires, attending satsangs, keep refining yourself, keep refining. Let it be a natural growing out of desires, not forceful. Let it be a natural glide, a natural attraction, a natural devotion towards the divine. If it is, better. Otherwise, lage raho. It will eventually end up in that only. Continuing in the 12th verse, that's the last verse. Vardhamana cha sa bhaktihi, Vardhamana cha sa bhaktihi, Kale purna bhavishyati, Kale purna bhavishyati, Purnaya paraya bhaktya, Purnaya paraya bhaktya, Jnanenaiva bhava bharata. Where am I? Jnaneneva bhavam taret. Jnaneneva bhavam taret. Vardhamana cha sa bhaktihi, Kale purna bhavishyati, पूर्णया परया भक्त्या ज्ञानेनैव bhavam taret. Growing thus, bhakti in course of time becomes perfect. By means of this perfect and supreme bhakti, even as by jnana, one crosses the ocean of becoming. So what is the error? Becoming. What is the error? ER is the error. Father, ER. Mother, ER. Brother, ER. It's all errors. We take it to be real. Waker, ER. Dreamer, ER. Sleeper, ER. Walker, thinker, meditator, all corruption only. मजा आता है ऐसे सोच सोच के भी. This is becoming. When we take these ERs to be real as I, then we become. We become the seer, we become the father, we become the mother, we become the waker, we become the dreamer, we become the sleeper. And whenever we become someone, along with it comes its challenges, its obstacles, its afflictions, its reactions, its own Pandora box of miseries. Because becoming is being miserable. It can never give you the fulfillment that everyone, knowingly or unknowingly, is seeking. And becoming cannot deliver that to you. We have to dissolve the becoming. And for that, some other, if everything we have done till now has continued the propagation of becoming, then we have to change. We have to approach this desire to be fulfilled in some different way. And this was another way, the bhakti. Previous was Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. If by thinking, or Arjuna did not do any sadhana, Parikshit did not do any sadhana, I will also not do. Apni औकात देखो यार. What is their caliber? Parikshit was the emperor of the whole earth. What are you? Not even emperor at home. Nobody listens to you. What was Arjuna? Arjuna never complained. He had fought and won every war. He was a straightforward, simple-hearted, pure-hearted person. No manipulation ability inside of him. What you see is what you get. Are we like that? Straightforward, simple, as you see, so you are? Or always trying to mix and match situations, continuously adjust, manipulate. इधर का उधर, उधर का इधर, इधर का उधर. हवाला. Hawala. Are we doing hawala from one becoming to another becoming? So that Arjuna. So either you have those type of qualities. If those two qualities, two people whom I just mentioned, Arjuna and Parikshit, they are Uttam Adhikari. They are Uttam Adhikari. Parikshit got liberated. Arjuna did not get liberated. When Krishna Bhagavan left the earthly abode and asked Arjuna to come and take his wives back to Hastinapur, he came. The tribals, the Bhils in Gujarat, they attacked and they started carrying away the 16,108 wives one by one. Arjuna wanted to pick up the Gandiv to fight, he couldn't even lift Gandiv. Why? Then he realized, Arey, the power was because of the grace of the Lord. I am nothing. And he could protect only the main 8 wives and took them back. Rest all of them, 16,100 were taken away by the tribals. What? Bhagwan's wives were taken? Yes. Who are you? Bhagwan's wives were taken away. He has got no attachment to his wives also. और हम लगे हुए हैं. See? So recognize this. So on one hand, so Arjuna's Bhagavad Gita darshan, the Vishwarup darshan, and him becoming afraid of it, and then again Krishna Bhagwan showing him the Chaturbhuj Saumya form, eventually his removal of doubt. It was for a purpose. It was intermittent. It did not lead to realization of Arjuna. He became ineffective afterwards. But at that moment, at the time of the war, he was effective. Parikshit, on the other hand, he listened for 7 days, didn't do any sadhana, but he was single-pointedly, Uttam Adhikari. Usually when there is fear, when there is end coming close, we become very focused, automatically. When you are driving, you are very focused. Why? Yaar, mar jaunga nahi to. You are going at 110 speed. What if one moment of distraction is enough to kill you? So you are very alert. Are you alert? With that alertness, are you driving in your mind? Are you alert towards the divine name? Are you alert towards the self? The conscious principle, the I? That is the source. That is the essence. That we take it for granted. Car will be alert. But Parikshit was not. He was sitting there listening continuously and assessing himself. His mind was paripakwa. Could be because he knows his end is coming, and heightened focus automatically. Do you know you are going to wake up tomorrow? You only have a belief, you have faith that you will. What's the guarantee? Even after listening to this, you will still not be focused because it has not clicked that I might not get up tomorrow. But if some Mahatma comes or Jyotish comes, hey, you got only. Like I came across one person, the doctor said, you got lung cancer, you got only 6 months left. She came here, talked to me. It's now more than 1 year, she's still alive. But in those 4 months, she turned the world upside down, and she used to meditate and chant the name of the Lord and take the chemotherapy also, Ayurveda also, but continuing her sadhana. Because she knows end is coming close. Anytime she can pop off. Didn't allow any distractions, didn't allow the family, didn't allow the social network to come and distract her for those 4 or 5 months. She's still like that. In her deliberation towards the self. See? So sometimes fear works. Instead of actually it happening, smart person is he who learns from other people's mistake. Arey, वो मर गया, मेरा भी दिन आने वाला है, चलो फटाफट अपना नंबर अपने अपने लाइन पे लग जाते हैं. Correct your course before you are forced to correct your course, and then it is too late. Growing thus, bhakti in course of time becomes perfect by means of his this perfect and supreme bhakti, even as by jnana knowledge leads to self realization, devotion to God leads to God realization. Self and God are one and the same. There is no difference between the two. Excuse me. So, in this way, when devotion is increasing step by step, progressively, ultimately it reaches its epitome. Ultimately, it reaches its epitome. So, nothing wrong with that. It's okay. For some people, it is that. And eventually, one transcends. What happens when it reaches its climax? One transcends all becoming. Transcending all becoming and being established in the Lord or in the self as the self is eternal fulfillment. Is eternal fulfillment. Anything short of that, frustration. You have missed the target. Anything short of that, you have missed the target. Then what will happen? Next life. Or next day is there. Why go to next life? Next day is there. If you are alive. With this, इति श्री रमण गीतासु ब्रह्म विद्यायां योग शास्त्रे रमणान्ते वासिनो वासिष्ठस्य गणपतेरुपनिबन्धे भक्ति विचारो नाम षोडशोऽध्यायः. This is the 16th chapter entitled on Bhakti in Sri Ramana Gita, the Science of Brahman and the Scripture of Yoga, composed by Ramana's disciple Vashishta Ganapati Muni. And with that, we conclude this topic of Bhakti. And with that, we have seen the 15th chapter titled Shravana Manana Nidhyasana Nirupana, and here it is Bhakti Nirupana in the 16th chapter. Next chapter will be, which will be whenever we do the next, on attainment of jnana. So first was the Jivan Mukti Nirupana. I think that was the chapter title in the 14th. One moment. It was called Jivan Mukti Vicharaha. So it was contemplation of what is Jivan Mukti. Then for Jivan Mukti, what are the two ways? Bhakti and Jnana. What is the traditional way? Traditional way is Shravanam Manadam Nidhyasanam. And the two pathways again are Bhakti and Jnana. By Bhakti where you reach is the same place, is the same destination where you reach by Jnana. They are just two sides of the same coin. Matured Bhakti is Jnana, matured Jnana is supreme love, that is devotion. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sit quietly for a few moments.